Thank you very much. It is all square, as we see a little bit of a replay there, but it didn't need a replay because from the side of Fnatic, it is classic Fnatic, even though we've only seen this formation play for one split, the way they took the objectives. I like that they didn't stray away from their bans, Cassiopeia, Morgana, and Annie, and they went totally into the way they like to play their game, Leviathan.
Yeah, I really like the way they really took control of the game right from the get-go with the mid lane pressure. UOL is really good at making the enemy team play their game, while Fnatic made UOL play their game this game. They were able to establish that early lead, take that early dragon control, and then just slowly choke the Unicorns of Love out of the game.
Yeah, it was the perfect answer of information for the informations that they were given. You know, as Fnatic, that Unicorns of Love get really excited when they win a game. They play with and through the emotions, and they play like crazy little children. So the best thing that Fnatic can do is just do the most controlled game that they can possibly pull off, and they did that. Objective control, especially the dragons, were just astounding. Like the way they set up the vision around it, the way they defended the dragons and the way they took it, it was astounding. The first 15 minutes, I guess 4 or 5 towers, just one after another, just slowly choked them out. And then they knew, okay, we don't really have to fight here. We can just wait for the 5th dragon, for that Baron, and then take the inner turrets, and the Nexus, it was just...
Yeah, and it was just... sorry to cut you off there. It was just really well executed. They secured the game in the first 15 minutes, first 10 minutes of the game. Didn't make any mistakes or very few mistakes, none that cost them. There was that dangerous fight near Unicorns and Love's blue area where I believe it went 2 for 2 or something that was close. But from there they just said, okay, let's slow it down. Just took tower after tower, got the 5 dragon buffs and ended the game.
Yeah, and good point for our commentators as well in that position. What were the Unicorns of Love supposed to do? We know that if they're triggered to fight, they're always going to fight. But there is a moment where you realize, okay, if it goes even 1k more ahead in the favor of Fnatic, they're going to win anyway. So you kind of have to fight. So was it the right decision in the end?
Yeah, it was. At some point, it was like 13 or 14k gold difference, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And as Unicorns of Love, you got a scaling AD carry, you got a scaling mid laner. That mid laner can clear some waves. Ziggs is just beautiful in that regard, like the Vicious said. But you are forced to contest those 5th dragons. You are forced to contest those barons, and you are forced to try to look for a way to come back into the game. So when you're the Unicorns of Love, you have to find and you have to look for those opportunities and you have to take them. Fnatic was fine with taking them because Fnatic knew they were ahead, they had the items, so they could defend it pretty easily.
Yeah, and I don't know too much about Ziggs. I feel that Ziggs is a champion similar to Xerath, and what I can take from this game is when you play with Xerath, so I can assume when you play with Ziggs, the thing you need to worry about the most when you're playing a poke-style composition with champions like that is to make sure you stay ahead or at least even transition into the mid-game. They fell behind so early, their composition wants to be pushed up, wants to be poking, wants to be getting damage on the towers, but when you fall behind early, you can't do anything that you want to do.
Well, looking ahead to the next game, seeing how we're all square, Fnatic in a classic Fnatic game, the Unicorns of Love with a crazy pick in game 1, knowing that Unicorns of Love are on the red side again. For game 3, you said, I would just have gone with the exact same comp with the Varus in the mid once again. What are you anticipating for the next one?
Oh, it's Unicorns. How can you anticipate anything?
Try.
Okay, well, let's see. They play Varus, they play Kog'Maw, they play Ziggs.
Maybe another lane, man, Kikis.
Oh, yeah. I could see maybe. I would like to see Shaco again. I'm a big Shaco fan, but really, it's Unicorns of Love. How could I predict anything here? I'm going to say they're going to pull out the Kog'Maw next game.
Right.
It's possible. It's impossible to predict it, like you said. They just go with the flow. When they're in picks and bans, they see what Fnatic's gonna pick, and then they just try to pull something off to throw them off. The Varus is a very legit option, if you ask me. Like even against a Twisted Fate, the Varus should be a solid pick. And then you have to like pick other champions around this Varus. Like the first composition was just perfectly built, and it worked well. So do that again, please.
Yeah. Why do we have you guys here if you can't predict what's going to happen? Just kidding.
Unicorns
of Love, they are crazy.
I predicted Draven.
Yeah, there we go, maybe. Before we set up for game 3, though, let's touch base with you guys in the Twitter sphere. As earlier, we asked you, which EU LCS team do you think would best represent the region on the world stage and why? And here's what you think. Our first tweet asked from @KryptonCore, UOL to represent EU. Never been kept on the edge of my seat during Champion Select as much as I am when Unicorns of Love are playing. Well, that's definitely the case when we're watching.
Yeah, when they end the game, they're really excited to watch. Like the last game, when they got slowly poked out, they're just so much excited. But if we get the Unicorns of Love from the first game onto the international stage, we're in for a ride.
Yeah, can you imagine Unicorns of Love versus the Chinese team just brawling, having fun all over the map? Fantastic. Second tweet at xgalu. Origen, of course, with that performance and players, I think they can reach Worlds, but they won't have an easy path. Very interesting seeing how they only just qualified for the LCS.
Yeah, and we can touch on that not having an easy path because they missed out on all of the championship points that you could get within the first split. But with their roster, they have a lot of talented players, a lot of veterans, like you have XPeke. Just the players on that team are world-class players, players that could potentially compete on the world stage. So we're going to have to see how well they stack up against this European LCS. And if they do make it to Worlds, it could be a good show.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk to XPeke in a bit after break as well, so I can ask him. Our last tweet is from @Morden101. Fnatic, such potential, such a diverse game, definitely good for MSI. And if they play like they did here in Game 2,
I love potential. Potential is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for sending those in. And remember, you can always add to the conversation. Tweet at LL Esports. Use that hashtag LCS. Whew, getting tongue-tied here with this series for Nodo. We need to take a break, clearly, as the team's ready up for Game 3. It is all tied up in the championship match, so stay tuned.
Here. They look to just try and go for something.
And it does connect. Hylissang's going to follow through. He plays them backwards, but that's a defensive equalizer from Huni. Reignover secures the kill credit onto Hylissang. Now Huni and Reignover running onto the backline. A steal back destroys Kickers. Depth charge will follow through, knocking up Power of Evil and Vardags. Daylor cold as ice as Fnatic are rampaging across the backline. Teleports to the backline. Huni gets a great equalizer. Finishes splitting up the Unicorns of Love as the depth charge knocks him in the air. The Mega Inferno Bomb goes down and Vardags is shut down. Huni with a double kill. Here comes Huni. That equalizer does find its target. Vardags is shut down. Depth charge follows onto his opposite support. Power of Evil will get melted by the flame spitter of Huni. Fnatic got super minions. They're now on the Nexus after 42 minutes.